Hmm. Nah, tinggal kieu nya.
Naon grafik
Heeh.
paling butut tinggal ieu efek kan.
Padahal si Grim gitu tah.
Tuh tinggal tuh. Iya emang rada sepan make grafik pro ini nu jago mah.
Heeh.
Hero anjing.
Halo, perkenalkan saya Febri. Hey guys, it's Cero and I'm back to bring you guys another banger. In this video, I'll go over 5 game sense tips that will help you make better decisions and ultimately win more games. But quickly, before we get into that, have you ever wondered what it'd be like having your own Cero in your ear answering your questions in real time? Well, I've been working on a brand new app for the last 9 months that will revolutionize how you improve at Valorant. I'm super excited to reveal it to you guys in my next video coming soon. Anyways, without wasting any time, let's get
Wall
into
apa
the
itu
first game
anjing?
sense tip. The first important concept you must understand is the idea of adaptation. You might think that you're inconsistent because of your teammates, but in reality, it's likely because you suck at adapting to new opponents. Since you're versing completely different players every single game, you must learn how to properly adapt to every situation to decrease luck and give you the highest chances of winning possible. In reality, most people, probably including you, play the game mindlessly, focusing solely on teammates' kills and stats. However, if you instead focus on learning and adapting to your opponent's playstyle, then you'll gain a huge advantage throughout the entire game. Let's see an example of this. In this scenario, the defending team has shown to play aggressive towards mid. To combat this, my teammate and I arranged to peek mid with the Rain of Flash. The Rain of Flash throws off the enemy's crosshair placement, and I'm able to secure 2 free kills. Adapting to your enemy's playstyle is crucial to winning, since it allows you to always be one step ahead of the enemy. In this scenario, if I had not taken note of the enemy's playstyle, we would have likely got flanked from mid. It's also important to note that I relayed this info to my team, because if I solo peeked without Raina's Flash, I would have likely given the defending team an early man advantage. For this reason, it is vital to focus on the opponent's playstyle, not only when you lose a round, but throughout the entire duration of the game. Here are examples of key patterns you should be aware of when adapting to your enemies. If you know that the defenders are constantly pushing, then it's time for you to play defaults and hold them. If defenders, however, seem to be over-rotating, then it's a perfect opportunity to throw a fake and catch them off guard. If the attackers have ultimates that help them take the site, such as Killjoy or KO ult, then consider playing retake with your team. Keep in mind that if you are playing retake, you should not be fighting on the site and rather be watching lurks and pushes from spawn while your team rotates to your site. There are countless other counterplay examples, but the key point is that you should always be keeping track of the opponent's playstyles, regardless if you just won or lost a round. However, you not only want to quickly adapt to your opponents, you also want to make it hard for your opponents to adapt to you. This brings me to the next concept, which I notice many lower ranked players simply don't understand, and that is the importance of varying strategies. I'm sure you, like many other ranked players, have fallen into the trap of going through rounds on autopilot, sticking to the same
Anjing, wallnya
strategies and
kalimat.
setups without thinking critically about them, simply because it's the easy thing to do. It sounds obvious that a constant playstyle makes you much easier to be countered, yet almost everyone keeps slipping back into the trap of repetition. I want to make this clear. Even if it's working, and even if you're winning, avoid staying stagnant, as it makes you significantly more difficult to read and therefore much more difficult. Power up and your favorite Radiant Zero is here. In this guide, I'll go in depth on all the ins and outs of crosshair placement, starting with the fundamental concepts like pre-aiming and moving into advanced concepts later in the video, such as angle alignment and anti-crosshair placement, so be sure to stick around for the whole guide. This video is broken down into 3 main levels: beginner, intermediate, and pro, and in each one, I'll cover the major aspects of crosshair placement associated with those ranks to help you improve and finally rank up. But quickly, before I hop into the nitty gritty, I'd like to mention that I have partnered with Buff. Skins are winning rounds. Buff makes their money straight from subscription. So simple and easy, there's no reason to not try Buff. Thanks to Buff, I'll be giving away Valorant points to 5 with your Discord username using the link in the. Let's talk about what exactly is crosshair placement, since it's a very common term that people like to throw around a lot. Essentially, crosshair placement is the act of placing your crosshair in such a way that it takes the least amount of time and mouse movement to kill your enemy. Simply put, the goal of crosshair placement is to set up your crosshair in a way that a half-disabled grandpa on a wheelchair can hit the shot. If he can't, then you can definitely improve upon your crosshair placement. Well, Sero, how do I improve my crosshair placement then? Depending on your rank, you will need to prioritize different aspects of crosshair placement, which is why I have broken this video into 3 main levels. Starting off with the most basic idea, which is to keep your crosshair at enemy head level. Since everyone's mom already knows about this concept, I will keep it very brief, focusing more on the improvement aspect. Essentially, you should know that aiming at head level equals easy headshots, and headshots equals easy kills. Despite what you tell yourself, if you are in these lower ranks, I promise you that you aren't always aiming directly at head level. If you don't believe me, then just simply record a few rounds of your games and your ego will quickly shatter once you realize that you are actually mopping the floor half the time. To practice keeping your crosshair at head level, I would recommend doing the Prems method with the practice bots without moving your crosshair vertically at all. You can also practice this in a deathmatch to get used to the different elevations and heights. Try to look for specific marks on the maps to help you remember where to place your crosshair, such as dice on ascent, generator midline, and pretty much any metal or wooden box found on any map. Over time, you won't need these anymore as your brain will become better at visualizing head elevations, but initially, I recommend that you are consciously focusing on maintaining this headshot level. Also, a quick tip, I know those beautiful skins can be distracting, but instead of looking down, just use G to drop your current weapon. Trust me, it may save your life. And now, moving on to the final low rank concept, which is learning how to pre-aim properly. Just like maintaining headshot level, pre-aiming is extremely fundamental and is a huge part of having consistent aim. The idea is that you place your crosshair relative to the angle that you want to peek, so that when you swing out, your crosshair is already on the enemy's head. If done correctly, you will only need to use
Ano
your
mereka
keyboard.
nuladana lah. Gitu aja nulada tuh.
Halam.
Aduh tuh tadi. Kau mau ya?
Ayam atau?
Nyambelnya tuh.
Halo, I'm back.
Lah udah cepet banget. Gue lagi makan.
Udah ngebut coy, ngebut anjing.
Gua lagi lihat. Coba.
Ganti ya.
Hah?
Ganti ya.
Bukan?
Di ASB.
Lagi lihat pacar kedua aku.
Anjing.
Grim. Pacar pertama aku kan
Siapa? Di, padahal mau jawab yang lain tuh.
main freak.
Di.
Lagi mama mie kuah.
Terus itu ya dijual lah di situ.
Hmm.
Udah kira lega banget cuy, aku tadi tuh kayak nahan. Biar
Udah makan belum sekarang?
udah
Tadi makannya ketika doang.
jam 3. Enggak, tadi aku makan nasi padang ya, beli dari jam 3 anjir.
Nah,
Nah, dimakannya tuh tadi pas apa tuh jam 5. Terus udah kayak udah agak dingin gitu. Kayak gitu lah. Kita kalau banyak bumbu kayaknya.
Anjay udah modal.
iya.
Jadi modal coy.
Dah, shut up. Makan.
Without actively moving your mouse. You are basically doing all the aiming before you peek the enemy, which in turn will make you significantly more consistent as you will only have to focus on small micro adjustments later on. The only time you don't want to be pre-aiming and instead hitting the angle is when you're clearing off angles like shown here. The best way to practice is to go either to a deathmatch or a custom game and focus on pre-aiming all the common angles players can be. I would also recommend for those starting out to ping the angle before peeking, so you can get a better idea of how you will align your crosshair. Pre-aiming combined with maintaining good headshot level will improve your aim and consistency dramatically, allowing you to finally escape out of low elo. Now let's move on to the intermediate section, which should contain most of the
pulang,
good
jangan
diamond players
pulang
out there.
malam-malam tuh, maksudnya tuh jangan kayak kemarin sih, cuma jam 1, jam setengah 2,
efficiently cut angles.
12.
Let's start with predicting how the enemy will peek you. So in Valorant, there are three main ways the enemy can peek you. 1. A standard peek where the enemy peeks a short distance and stops when you. 2. A wide peek where the enemy runs farther into the open before stopping. And 3. Jiggle peek where the enemy peeks very tight while shooting. If your crosshair is placed exactly where the enemy will peek, all you have to do is react and shoot without needing to move your mouse at all. Although it seems like it's completely random and impossible to predict how the enemy will peek, there is actually a neat way to find out. Essentially, you want to put yourself in the enemy's shoes. If you were them, how would you peek the angle? Would you stop to fully clear it, or would you skip past the angle as it is an off angle? By thinking about it this way, you can get an idea of how the enemy will likely peek you. So if you're playing a standard angle, which is always cleared, you should have your crosshair a bit closer to the wall, since the enemy will likely stop to clear you. On the other hand, if you are playing an off angle, you can expect the enemy to still be running, since they are likely trying to swing the next standard angle, suggesting that you should hold your crosshair a bit farther from the wall. What about the jiggle peek? Should I hold my crosshair very tight to kill the enemy? Most of the time the answer is no, because if they're trying to commit to the fight, they will likely swing out, forcing you to flick and rely on luck. When you account for your reaction time, the server lag, and randomness of the enemy movement, holding angles super tight doesn't make any sense. The only time I would recommend holding tight angles is if you have an operator, as it is far more consistent to land a body shot than a headshot on someone who is jiggle peeking. Another thing to consider when deciding on how wide to hold an angle is the distance you are from the angle. The closer you are to an angle, the farther you should place your crosshair from the wall, since the enemy is going to be moving faster across your screen. On the contrary, if you're farther from the wall, then you want to be holding your crosshair a little closer, since the opponents will run slower across your screen. In terms of practice, you can try improving your reaction time through third-party benchmarks like humanbenchmark.com, but don't expect crazy improvements because your reaction time is largely affected by genetics and the latency of your PC. However, the benchmark can still be very useful as it It gives you an idea of how wide or tight you should hold the angle, because if you're getting 500 millisecond reaction time, you probably shouldn't be holding your angles like this. I also want to mention that you should always hold the side or edge of the smoke, Astral Wall or Viper Ultimate. The enemy likely won't swing out the middle since it exposes them to too many angles. Instead, they will likely peek on the side because it's more safe as it allows them to isolate more angles. It's usually a good idea to pre-fire a few bursts just in case someone is holding the other side. So try to always use this concept to your advantage, and I promise you will start getting a lot more kills when you're holding down a bomb site or playing post-plant. This brings me to my last intermediate concept, which is cutting angles. Once you are comfortable with maintaining headshot level and pre-aiming, you want to combine these into a form that allows you to properly clear every angle. Essentially, this is the disciplined version of pre-aiming, also known as slicing the pie, where you strafe to clear every angle as if someone is there. A big mistake I see people making is that they get lazy with pre-aiming and forget to clear all the angles between the angle they are at and the angle they want to hard clear. If I just swing out, I would have to flick back to the enemy and be exposed to multiple angles at the same time, increasing the luck involved. Instead, notice how I'm strafing to clear every angle instead of just swinging out. So please don't get lazy and remember to stop after every angle. So if someone is actually there, all you have to do is react and shoot them. The best way to practice this would be to go into a custom game and cut every angle as if you're getting ready to execute onto a site. You can also practice cutting angles with the practice bots in the range during your warm-up by slicing the angle slowly using this wall. Although some people suggest that you should practice this in a comp game or a deathmatch, I would advise against it as you will quickly forget about it and go back to playing normally. If you think about it, whenever you are pushing a site, you have to worry about the same angles every time. By practicing this in a custom game, you will quickly develop muscle memory for clearing every angle, which will result in you going through the proper motions on autopilot when you're in an actual game. Finally, let's go into the legendary pro section, which includes all the secrets you've been dying to know and exactly what's going on in the high elo brain. More specifically, I'll be focusing on two major topics.
Wis. Biar tertibnya kita SUP kan. Aim lab gratis nih. Nah, ya.
Gas.
Udah.
Tadi kemana kan kamu?
Ada tukang PC.
Tungtakin kamu. Nah.
Paham.
Ini nyeluman orang mana? Oh, itu. Jam-jam nggak ajakin yang lain.
Udah, nggak tahu nanti. Si Rohan mau main kesini tapi udah penuh.
Main party aja.
Nggak tahu, nggak ada yang mau main. Apa emang?
Nggak apa.
Kamu kena mental kah main sama random?
Lagi nggak mau disuruh-suruh.
Anjing enggak jangka dengan aing.
Oh nge-feel. Ayo play yuk, siapa yang nge-play nih?
Wait, kayak lagi.
Nggak ada yang ingat kan? Kenapa sih? San? Lagi aim lab, anjay.
Ngomong. Oh iya. Anjing bari kanon.
Bam 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 bam. You feel that makes you beautiful.
Si kupluk kayak gini.
Teuing mau. Oh, sih gano.
With the foil in a for the with my
Match found.
Anjing.
Kamu main apa tadi?
Mie goreng.
Geko. Kamu main apa? Aku ngisi aja deh.
Duelis.
Duelis lah.
Gak mau, pokoknya duelis.
Ya. Aku nge-spam jet deh, full jet deh hari ini deh. Mana? Full jet deh aku deh. Mana?
Gecko something ini bos.
Iko siapa?
Gecko something. Sunset.
Emang iya bang.
Hayang iya euy. Iya. Jadi dia
Tuh jadi.
ability si Gecko.
Nah, tuh jadi.
Oh, gak ada waktu anjing.
Sekalian nitip Catridge lang.
Sabar aja.
Hiji.
Hiji. 10.000.
Hiji.
Sabar hargana.
6.000.
Anjing. Serasa AC aing mah.
Yeah, girl. That's us over there. Try not to think about it.
Ago. Kita jadi apa nih?
I need this.
Can someone buy me, please?
Upsi. Tahu nggak jeb paketnya? Ih nggak di waro. Udah.
Apaan anjir? Ada suara aku kah? BBB. BBB smoke BBB. Smoke.
Anjir.
Lah itu kan jadi gap bajingan. Mau dari ini.
mirages. Shadows traveling.
Fede di kiri.
Last player standing.
Patah. Bentar gue ping. Ya udah cabut.
Di ini semua ya, di win.
Anjing di armor babi. Nggak ada yang ngehit pula kayaknya.
Kagak gua langsung mati.
Where shall we go, Riftwalker?
Kapan
I
anjing?
cannot watch everywhere at once.
Kamu pakai apaan sih, Beb? Oh, oke kok.
Ya kak. Kok.
Smoke mid lan, smoke mid.
Dah, males.
Pelan.
Ogah.
Jump them.
Jangan malas-malas gitu.
Lu pakai
Apa
apa
ya?
sih kalau lu pakai jet? Oh, lu.
Shadows traveling.
Kakak. Kok lu skeptikal sih?
Ih, anjing.
Reloading.
Main di blok.
Belum rounding gua. Ya, where are you, Jeff?
Lan.
Parah gue tinggal sok. Logi golnya.
Enemy remaining.
Ready.
Loh.
Send 5 more. We can do this again.
Anjing.
Wow, you are cool. Like, really?